You've been sold a deeply profitable lie by every hustle culture guru on the internet. They tell you the only way to buy back your freedom is to scale your income, to hit that magical $10,000, then $20,000 a month. But here is the brutal, mathematical truth. Increasing your income without redesigning your psychological relationship to money is exactly what traps most people in a 40-year corporate cage. You don't need a six-figure side hustle, you don't need to day trade crypto, and you absolutely don't need to wait until you're 65, exhausted, and physically declining to finally start living. The people who check out of the rat race in their 40s didn't win the genetic lottery, and they didn't inherit a trust fund. They just weaponized a mathematical formula that the banking industry desperately hopes you ignore. Because the moment you understand the asymmetry of keeping what you earn, you stop being a profitable consumer. You stop needing their loans. You are about to see the exact blueprint of how to exit the system decades early. Not with motivation, with arithmetic. Meet Sarah and Elena, two senior UI designers living in Austin, Texas. They started in the exact same agency in 2009. Same graduating class, same starting salary of $72,000 at age 25. Both rented identical apartments in the same trendy zip code, and both had exactly $0 in invested assets. Fast forward 17 years. By age 42, Sarah has a massive $4,500 a month mortgage, a leased luxury SUV, an aesthetic Instagram feed, and $35,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. She spends her Sundays dreading Monday morning, hoping she doesn't age out of the tech industry before she can afford to retire. By age 42, Elena has $1.2 million in liquid investments, not tied up in a risky startup, not in a volatile crypto wallet. It is sitting in aggressively boring, low-cost index funds. Elena's peak salary was never drastically higher than Sarah's. She capped out at $95,000. She never sold an app. She never went viral. The $1.16 million gap between Sarah and Elena isn't a story of talent or luck. It's the result of one invisible, automated decision Elena made at 27 and the violent power of compounding over 15 years. If you are sitting there in your late 30s or 40s, feeling a quiet panic that you've missed the boat, stop. That panic is engineered. The financial system relies on you believing it's too late. Because when you think it's too late, you default to extreme consumerism to numb the anxiety. The math does not care about your past mistakes. A 40-year-old making $85,000 who ruthlessly audits their life to hit a 30% investment rate can reach total financial independence by 56. With average market returns, zero luck required. The system wants you blind to this reality. Here is the algorithm to buy back your life, broken down into absolute rules. Rule 1. Calculate your escape velocity, the 25 times multiplier. Vague financial goals are the enemy of execution. Stop aiming to be rich. You need a surgical target. The foundation of the escape algorithm is the 4% rule. If your invested portfolio is large enough that 4% of it covers your annual living expenses, you have achieved infinite runway. Take your absolute required annual spending and multiply it by 25. If you can engineer a life that costs $60,000 a year, your escape velocity number is $1.5 million. If you can streamline it to $45,000, your target drops to $1.12 million. This turns a vague daydream into a brutal countdown clock. Rule 2. The retention ratio defeats the income illusion. Here is the secret they obscure with complexity. Your savings rate dictates your freedom date exponentially more than your gross income. A burned-out tech director making $180,000 but only investing 5% of it will be chained to a desk a decade longer than a copywriter making $75,000 who aggressively invests 35%. That is not an opinion. It is an undeniable mathematical law. You don't need a promotion. You need to radically decouple your ego from your spending habits. Increasing your retention rate by just 10% literally erases years of mandatory labor from your future. Rule 3. Weaponize your raises. Kill lifestyle creep. Lifestyle inflation is not a character flaw. It is the default programming of modern society. When Sarah got a $10,000 raise, she rewarded herself by upgrading her car. The money vanished into her baseline. Elena used a different protocol, the 50-50 split. For every raise or bonus, 50% was automatically diverted to her brokerage account before she ever saw it. If she got an extra $500 a month after taxes, $250 went into the market and $250 went to her lifestyle.
Over 15 years, those invisible, automated redirections accounted for over $150,000 of her net worth. You cannot miss money that never hits your checking account. Rule 4. The devastating cost of delay. Time is the multiplier that makes the math work. A 28-year-old investing $500 a month until age 60 at a historical 8% return builds a portfolio of roughly $830,000. A 38-year-old starting with that exact same $500 a month reaches $340,000. Waiting 10 years for the perfect time to get your finances in order costs you $500,000 in unearned growth. Starting with an ugly, imperfect $150 a month right now mathematically destroys waiting to invest $1,000 a month 5 years from now. Rule 5. Worship boredom, the index fund mandate. Wall Street makes billions convincing you that investing requires constant trading, complex algorithms, and expensive advisors. It is a scam. Buying a total stock market ETF like VOO or VTI gives you ownership of the top 500 companies in America for a fee of about 0.03%. The average managed fund charges you 1.00%. On a $700,000 portfolio, that tiny fraction equals $7,000 a year bled from your accounts in hidden fees. Over 2 decades, managed fees will rob you of $250,000. Boring is bulletproof. Exciting is expensive. Rule 6. Hack the tax code, the conversion ladder. The biggest excuse people use to avoid extreme investing is, I can't touch my retirement accounts until I'm 59 and a half without a 10% penalty, so what's the point of retiring at 45? It's a myth. The IRS left the back door wide open. It's called a Roth IRA conversion ladder. You can roll over traditional pre-tax retirement funds into a Roth IRA over time. You pay standard taxes on the conversion, wait exactly 5 years, and then withdraw that principal completely penalty-free at any age. Elena knew she could access her wealth at 45 because she read the actual tax code instead of listening to broke relatives. Rule 7. The Coast Protocol. Financial independence is not a binary switch where you go from working 50 hours a week to doing absolutely nothing. Enter Coast Fire. If you have $800,000 invested at age 46 and your investments are compounding quietly in the background, you no longer need to save for the future. You only need to cover your current baseline living expenses. You can drop down to consulting 2 days a week, making just enough to pay your monthly bills, while your portfolio does the heavy lifting for the next decade. You buy back 80% of your time years before you hit your final number. Visualize 2 distinct realities for yourself at age 55. In reality A, you are sitting in another performance review, listening to a 32-year-old middle manager explain why your department is being downsized. You are exhausted. You are terrified of artificial intelligence making your skills obsolete because you are utterly dependent on your next paycheck to cover a lifestyle you don't even enjoy anymore. The walls are closing in and you still have 10 years left on the clock. In reality B, you are drinking coffee on a balcony in a low-cost, high-quality city, maybe in Spain, maybe in Thailand, or just in your quiet hometown. You log into a laptop for 3 hours to do a freelance project you actually care about. You don't have a boss. You don't have Sunday anxiety. Your net worth grew more last week while you slept than you used to make in a month of forced labor. Both versions of you had access to the exact same salary over your lifetime. The only difference is that reality B ran the math and opted out of the consumption matrix. The algorithm is right in front of you, the math is relentless, and the window is open. If this video shattered the way you look at your paycheck, hit the like button to signal the algorithm and subscribe. Because society is built to keep you working, but this channel is built to break you out. Start calculating.